super anxious. I'm not really sure why. I'm going to be working on Galaxy Bank. Why isn't that working? I'm trying to pull up comments on my phone. Sorry about this. There it goes. I'm going to see if this is working. Cool. Now I'm going to tweet about it. Working on this. My typos. Logo a bit. Logo for cool. Oh, I don't think I've shown this. This is Lookwork. This is my account in Lookwork, lookwork.com. I don't know if new accounts are working. I think they probably are. But this is what it looks like if you're ever logged in. It's a visual RSS feed. It's still my favorite way to find cool stuff on the, like, you know, creative web that still exists outside of feeds. So I'm going to pull up this Terence McKenna video, partly because I don't feel like I want to try and listen to something while I work for once. And also I don't, like I said, I'm anxious and I don't necessarily want to jump into trying to talk. So let's see if this works. I think this is probably a good one. I had it in my favorites. It's Terence McKenna. It's got to be good.
I mean, if you do, that's like believing that you understand Los Angeles if you have the telephone directory. You know? I mean, this is the level of genetics today. What they say they understand life, and they have the telephone directory, and they're talking about Los Angeles because they can look up, you know, where the genes are, the coding for the proteins. You know, does this tell us anything about a broken heart or a Messiah or a Hitler? I don't think so. So what we are trying to do is return the focus of attention to individual experience. We have been slave too long to ideology transmitted hierarchically and based on a tremendously alienating instrumentality. That's what science depends on now, a tremendously alienating instrumentality. What we need to do is empower experience. Well, this is where the psychedelics come in, because citizens don't take psychedelics because it's illegal. Neither do marionettes. Neither do robots. None of these well-behaved and mechanistic reductionist images of humanity take psychedelics because it's misbehaving. Misbehaving is a great sin. In fact, it's enshrined as the first sin. You'll regard that the psychedelic issue was there in Eden, and somebody misbehaved, and then they got tossed out forever, and their children's children into the chaos of history. It's interesting to read in Genesis why this was. It was because they will become as we are, says Yahweh. They will become as we are if they eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. I suggest to you that this is precisely what we should seek to do, and that this we is the voice of hierarchy, the voice of paternalism, the voice of the male ego finally right up into the storm god, the volcano god who lies back there in the origins of monotheism. We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity. It's a wonderful thing to learn to be able to stand up and yell bullshit. I did it when I was about 18 years old, and it was the meme of the hour, and it blew their minds. It did blow their minds. It was uncivil. It was uncivil. It lacked polity. It was rude and crude and correct, because so much is being slung, and nobody is talking about the primacy of experience and the dignity of the individual. The dignity of the individual. We went a long way with this in America before we betrayed it. And it wasn't only betrayed by the clowns in Washington. It's also betrayed by anybody who clusters themselves around the feet of some self-proclaimed nabob. Because the fact of the matter is, nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows. Nobody has the faintest idea. The best guesses are lies. You may be sure of it. And so to pretend that one human being will lead another out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth is ludicrous, absolutely grotesque, a product of this empowering of the human image that has gone on through several thousand years of dominator culture. If you want a teacher, try a waterfall, or a mushroom, or a mountain wilderness, or a storm-pounded seashore. This is where the action is. It's not back in the hive. It's not in the anthill. It's not knocking your head against the floor in front of somebody who claims that because of their lineage and whose feet they washed and whose feet they washed, that you should give credence to them. Knowledge is provisional, and we are yet to approach even the first moment of civilized understanding. The way it is to be done is by trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. Reject authority. Authority is a lie and an abomination. Authority will lead you into ruin. It's not real. And it isn't, don't get the idea that it's this liberal rap about how everybody has a piece of the action. You know, the Jews know something, the Buddhists know something, the Huichol know something. Nonsense. Rubbish. Nobody knows anything. These are different kinds of shell games that have been worked out by priestly castes of people to keep things under control. Institutions seek to maximize control. That's what they're into. Did you think they were in the business of enlightening you? Saving your soul? Forget it. Control is what this is all about. And to the degree that we commit ourselves to ideology, we are poisoned. Any ideology, Marxism, Catholicism, objectivism, you name it.
I'm not sure what to do
rubbish. All rubbish. What is real is experience. What is real is this moment. And
but it's
so
one of the
then
things
what
that
it
has to get
becomes
figured
about
out.
is what are the frontiers of experience? How much of that has been taken away from us by these dominators, by these priesthoods, by these cults, by these philosophical shell games? Well, a lot. That's the whole story of history. Our growing unease, our growing dis-ease,
I'm trying to think of what the most internet fonts are.
Is all about the fact that we are kept from the wellspring of experience. We are sexually repressed.
Oh.
You may not feel it, but look back 100 years to a world where pianos wore pants. You know, we've made a little progress on the sexual thing. Maybe not. Maybe more or less than we think. But we are repressed in all of these areas.
Impact
and we
might
are
be perfect.
particularly repressed in the area that relates to the psychedelic experience. Because it is raised
Hey, what's up, Jenny?
to the dominator insect
Justin,
invasion. They can't take it. They can't stand it.
No.
Because it empowers the individual. It dissolves
Should
the
I turn this
cheerful
down?
model of science. It's just exposed as, a nice story. It enriches the accessible universe tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. It makes the individual
There's a little bit of stock stuff
complete
here.
within his or herself, and this completion of the individual is extremely destructive to
Do I
the
not have
plan
Twitch
of
open?
the dominators, which is that
Oh,
you
wait,
will be
I
a
should
cog
just do it
in a
here.
machine.
Sorry.
You will participate in the life of an organization, not your life, the
Um,
life of an organization.
if you scroll down,
will
you'll
go
see a
to some
few, and then there's a
bullshit
tag
job,
called
you will
stock.
pour the best years of your life
I can do it
and
too,
genius
but
and
for what it's
hopes
worth.
into this, you will serve.
It's not. I don't have all of them online. I'm not even sure I still have all of them.
Serve. Well, it's a bad
Like, this is
idea
one.
for free people to go along with this. A much better
These at the
idea
top
would
weren't
be
technically for
to
stock. Those are for the
insist on
editorial thing that
dignity
came from that
of
project.
human beings, to recognize that the freeing of slaves, the giving of the vote to women, the ending of public whippings, that this program of political
Just
enlightenment
looking at what I
must
have.
also then include hands-off on
Yeah,
how
so I guess I
people
still have
want
the
to
originals.
relate
It looks like
to
there's
changing their minds.
just 10 of them.
We are
Or maybe
not
that's not the
interested in
originals.
being
Oh no, this is from my
sexually
portfolio, so that's not the
regulated
originals
by
at all.
the state.
No, they're in
We're
like an
not
old hard drive.
interested in being intellectually, spiritually, emotionally manipulated.
You know
by
what I
the
don't have
state.
anywhere is the
state
website,
should stand down
which
in
sucks.
this
The
issue.
website was kind of cool.
The state
And I had
is
blog posts and
acting
stuff.
as the enforcing
I wonder if Eric
arm
has those.
of the dominator culture, specifically of fundamentalist screwballs
Thank you.
who, are horrified by all
My
this.
tone of voice completely
by the
changed.
notion that people would claim the authenticity of their own minds.
all right, Impact
that
is
people
kind
would
of
stand in the light of
amazing
nature
here.
and reject original sin and the guilt from Eden and the sins of the fathers and all this rubbish.
What's up, Justin?
Which is handed down.
I know you.
What the archaic revival is going to have to mean, if it has teeth, is a re-empowering of the individual and a consequent lowering of the profile of institutions, especially government. We need to think about these things because we have bought into the idea that we have to serve and behave and be enslaved, else chaos will engulf the world. We need to carry out our analysis of the situation to the point where we can embrace chaos and see that chaos is the environment in which we all thrive. That's how I've done it for years. You think I could have gotten away with this in the Soviet Union? I don't think so. I require a society
If it works
on
for
the brink
McKenna,
of
it must work for
social
everybody, right?
breakdown to be able to do my work. And I think a society on the brink of social breakdown is the healthiest situation for individuals. I don't know how many of you have ever had the privilege of being in a society in a pre-revolutionary situation, but the cafes stay open all night. and there's music in the streets, and you can breathe it, you can feel it, and you know what is happening. The dominator is being pushed. It never succeeds. It never is able to claim itself. But on the other hand,
I wonder if the
history is
client,
young. We may
John's
have,
is gonna join, and then
we
you
may
can kind of
have
tell
a
me what to
crack
do
at
here
this.
too.
A global society is coming into being. A global society made out of information that was not intended to be ours, but which is ours.
Hey, what's up,
through
Eric?
The mistaken invention
I actually don't
and
usually work to this
distribution of
stuff,
small
but I wanted to try
computers, the
it.
printing press, all of this
I
stuff.
definitely listen to it, but
Information
usually
is
like on a walk
power,
or a
and
run.
information has been spilled by the clumsy handling of the cybernetic revolution by the dominator culture, so that it is
But yeah, it's great.
everywhere.
He's
Never
very
has the situation
hypnotizing.
been more fluid. Never have
He's crazy too because he looks just like
the
his voice.
opportunities for infiltration, insurrection, and hell-raising been more present at hand. But we have to seize the opportunity. If we continue as we have, then, we're doomed. And the judgment of some higher power on that will be, they didn't even struggle. They went to the boxcars with their suitcases and they didn't even struggle. This is too nightmarish to contemplate. We're talking about the fate of a whole planet. Why are people so polite? Why are they so patient? Why are they so forgiving of gangsterism and betrayal? It's very difficult to understand. I believe it's because the dominator culture is increasingly more and more sophisticated in its perfection of subliminal mechanisms of control. And I don't mean anything grandiose and paranoid. I just mean that through press releases and sound bites and the enforced idiocy of television, the drama of a dying world has been turned into a soap opera for most people. And they don't understand that it's their story and that they will eat it in the final act. If somewhere between here and the final act, they
I
don't
should put this
stand
into
up
a
on
Twitter
their hind
profile
legs and howl.
for him.
And it's not done through organizing.
And
it's
figure
not
that
done
out.
through vanguard parties or cadres of intellectual elites. It's done through just walking away from all of that. Claiming your identity, claiming your vision, your being, your intuition, and then acting from that without regret. Cleanly.
Eric, what's your theory?
Without regret.
Oh no, did I just close the window that I was working on? I 100% did. I wonder what I lost. Oh, I lost everything. How funny.
Some years ago, I had just given a
at least I know what I
talk on
did.
television in Canada,
So that's okay.
when one of the announcers came up to me and said,
Oh, it's pulling up Alan Watts for me. That's cool.
if one can believe that this universe is in charge of an
You
intelligent
can tell you're frazzled
and beneficent
and
God,
nervous when you close your own window.
don't you think he would have naturally have provided us with an infallible guide?
I don't want to hear Alan Watts on Jesus. I'd rather hear either music or I'm going to try and do... No, that's too long. Well, there's this mindfulness lecture by John Kabat-Zinn, which is really great, which I've been meaning to listen to for a while. Let's just try it and see what happens. I'm going to skip ahead.
Good morning, and we are honored to have John lead a meditation class today. My friend, I give you John.
This video is great in that it was the first time that meditation made any sense to me, like rationally or as a thing that I could start to think about. It was just extremely ignorant up until this point, and then the way he explained it got through some of the. It was palatable. So, and he's great. He's still working. He's written a bunch of books. and he still works at UMass. He runs like he's very focused on the physical benefits of meditation and what it can do for people who have experienced like PTSD or chronic pain. And he's got like a 2-week workshop that you can go through that is really intense, but then helps cure a lot. So it's interesting. Yo, this video, meditation, I watched it after. Wait, what? Oh, that's weird. There's something in front of my screen. Hold on. Wow, strange. What's up? What's up, Dave? This video was my first big opening in my meditation. I watched it after you tweeted it, Ben. Yeah, cool, man. I don't know who I got it from.
Meditators or those
so
interested in meditation know that meditation
class today.
for this time of day when.
Alright. I don't know what it's going to be like to work with this.
What a nice turnout for this time of day when there were all sorts of other gala events happening, I guess, on campus. So,
How's this doing?
I guess the meditators or those interested in meditation know that sometimes
I still can't believe I did this.
hoopla is not necessarily where it's
Alright.
at. Nice to see somebody with a U.S. rowing shirt. One of the adventures that I was in some time ago had to do with training the U.S. Olympic rowing team, mindfulness, and back in 1984 at Lake Casitas, and it was really quite an interesting experience, in part because rowers compete sitting down, so learning how to sit's not, some sense relevant to them. They also compete going backwards, which is very interesting. And if you're not in a single, then you're competing with other minds and other bodies in the same boat. And to get that into some kind of harmony and synchrony is non-trivial and doesn't just have to do with the body. When the mind and the body become one, and the boat and the water and the wind and all the minds become one, and something very interesting happens. So I'm really touched that you've come out in the middle of a workday to partake of I don't know what you want to call this, a class or a workshop on what could most easily be described as much ado about almost nothing. It's not quite nothing, but it's not so much about doing as about being, or
It doesn't look as good as
as the
last time.
Taoists would
I wonder
call
what
it, as
happened.
non-doing. And there is a way in
Maybe
which
get rid of-
that seems awfully anti-American, since we're such go-getters, and it's all about
This came out
doing and
different.
getting
I
it
wonder
done, and crossing off everything on your to-do list.
what the
But
deal
if we
is.
get out of touch with who's doing the doing, actually that can be quite tragic, and not just from the point of view of like being so stressed out because you're always
Maybe it
running on a
wasn't on-
treadmill and have you noticed there's no end to work at Google? There's no end to the work day. I mean, you guys define it because the campus is structured so that, you'll never have to go home and have a real life if you want to separate life into that kind of a way. But it's actually, even before there was Google,
Eric, you think
the
voices and
digital
white noise
revolution
keep the
is
conscious mind busy?
actually delocalizing everything so that, there's no like
Yeah. I'm with that.
workplace anymore, really, because you can work anywhere. There's no work week anymore because, there's no work day. So all the boundaries are being confused. But we're still really saddled with a Stone Age mind in a digital age world. And that Stone Age mind, unless it has a certain kind of unless it engages in a certain kind of self-education, can really wind up getting stuck in some realms of serious confusion, suffering, being lost, and in fact, maybe even, and I just want to throw this out as a possibility, impeding creativity, imagination, real thoughtfulness, real breakthrough type leadership sensibilities, because we're not running on all cylinders. Or to use even, I think, a better metaphor,
Hey,
one
I'm
that I
gonna
like a
say-
lot, is that that we're living in a multi-dimensional universe, and if you listen to the cosmologists and the string physicists and the vacuum energy physicists and so forth. I mean, we're living in a universe that's not even 4-dimensional. It's more like 11 or 26 or whatever it is. And we still haven't really grokked Einstein's contribution of, space-time as like 4 dimensions. So if we're not in touch with the multiple dimensions of our own being, and there are many hidden dimensions to being embodied in a human lifetime for an unbelievably short period of time, then in fact we're kind of in some way trying to get somewhere and get all this doing done without tuning the apparatus. It would be like the Philadelphia Philharmonic or some great orchestra, let's say San Francisco Philharmonic Orchestra or Symphony Orchestra, playing Beethoven without tuning first. And no matter what, they gave the greatest musicians with the greatest instruments in the world, and they still tune first to themselves and to each other. And so, in a sense, I like to say, that meditation is, in some sense, you could say, it's like tuning your instrument before you take it out on the road. And tuning it in the morning can make a big difference in how the whole day goes, just on a kind of mundane level, never mind all the hidden dimensions of possibility, imagination. And yet it does seem really, in some sense, outside of the common norms of our culture. And so, whether it's in the Bay Area or sort of less charged places like that, very easy to kind of accrete a kind of feeling on the part of other people that there's something weird about stillness or about silence or about self-reflection, about non-doing. And I want to say there's nothing weird or anti-American about this at all, or un-American about this at all. It's just, it's in some sense a recognition of sanity, and that doing and being have always been intimately interrelated, and without some kind of deep reflection. Well, where do you think scientific breakthroughs or engineering breakthroughs come from? They all come out of the human mind. And very often they come serendipitously in the middle of the night or in dreams or whatever, and there have been Nobel Prizes that have come just from like a dream, like a snake eating its tail, and voila, you've got the benzene ring and all the molecular orbitals. And there are lots of instances like that in science, it's not what you know, it's what you're willing to know you don't know. And then to linger at that sometimes very uncomfortable place of having banged your head and banged your head and banged your head and gone through a lot of different kinds of solutions, none of which actually lead to any kind of solution. And all of a sudden you're just like, okay. And you don't try to force anything anymore. And you just open. And you go.
I was asked by the client to work on this one.
Thinking.
I gotta look at what they asked for specifically.
It's not like you're discounting thought, but in some sense you're giving yourself over to something that's just much bigger, that we never get educated around, never hardly is ever mentioned. Sometimes it might be called intuition, sometimes it might be called creativity. I call it awareness.
All right.
When was the last time you had a course in awareness? Or it was even mentioned as important in school, aside from, say, people yelling at you if you were looking out the window and the teacher caught you doing it and say, pay attention, as if paying attention was like, some kind of military discipline, a bad thing. So from the point of view of the meditative traditions, the entire society is suffering from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, certifiable diagnosis. From the point of view of the meditative traditions, because it's all about doing and there's no recognition of being, and so in a sense there's no place to rest.
Sorry,
and what this work is really all about is saying there is plenty of place to rest and there's plenty of time. It's not like, you got to squeeze this into your busy day. Because awareness is like boundless and infinitely available in every moment, no matter what you're doing. So if the doing is coming in some sense out of being, out of awareness, then it's not like, I have to find an hour to meditate, and if I can't find an hour, then to hell with it. Because that's a kind of idealization. That's what in some traditions they call it gaining
that I saw the other day.
But now I'm going to meditate to get better
I'm
at something.
Try and use on this Galaxy
meditate so I can be more like a samurai mind, cuts through all, discerns all problems clearly, cuts through the Gordian knot of it, and goes right to the solution, breakthrough after breakthrough. And of course, that's an idealization. Non-doing really means non-doing. It radically speaking, it means giving up wanting anything else to happen in even the next moment, never mind at the end of the day or at the end of like the year, in terms of the bottom line, and being willing to just stand in how things are in this moment. Now, I would like this to be interactive and conversational. I can talk for hours about this stuff. I mean, really, I'm embarrassed to say it, because it's so much. Well, I would say that for me, meditation is an act of love. And as I was implying, an act of sanity, just to stop for a fraction of a second and drop. Sometimes I even bring a tennis ball and I drop into being.
See if I can find it.
I think, well, if I do that, maybe I'll
I guess
lose
we get
my
to look at
mind.
some
If I don't
old
want to go into
logos
my
either
mind,
way.
I had many people I knew and grew up with who were Nobel laureates, and I asked one of them, George Wald, actually at Harvard, who won the Nobel Prize for color vision, and he was my yoga student and meditation student for many years, but before that he said, I don't
We're
want to
gonna
get
try
into
and sell this one
meditation.
eventually.
I've spent my whole life fine-tuning my
looking
mind,
for.
my thinking mind so that it works. What if I go into meditation, I could like lose my mind? I say, yeah, what if you go into meditation, find your mind? See, imagine, you big boy, George, you've already won the Nobel Prize. Why are you so worried about losing your mind? We're talking about befriending your mind. We're talking about, in a sense, making friends with this aspect of being that, is as worthy of paying attention to as the cones and rods in the eye.
Oh, these are cool.
So he got into it. And in his old age, he'd sit on the beach and bang a drum and chant, and, he's like really into it.
don't think
Didn't
I
make
can
him any
use that,
stupider.
These are old. These are from like 2016.
So what I think might be best today is if we actually, rather than me just talking endlessly about this from one angle or another, and really have it be kind of an advertisement.
Jeez, I was
that
trying
we
to redraw
actually
this from here.
practice a
That's
little
funny.
bit like a laboratory, and we drop in on our own minds in this moment. Say, without whatever
annoyed I
reason
can't
you
find
came.
the
I
exact
mean,
head I was
everybody's
looking for.
busy, right? So if you walked into this room, there's something really interesting about that. I don't know what it is, and my guess is, on some deep level, you don't know what it is. Okay, but it's interesting. You made some kind of a choice. And each one of us will have made that choice for different
so
reasons.
close to
Even my
this.
choice for why did I come here today? I got other things to do too.
This
So
plus
there's something very interesting going on, a little bit indeterminate,
this.
and I see it as adventure.
Except it's
And
missing a cone.
to sort of just loop back to what I was saying, it's an adventure in finding out who you actually are, and then embodying that in ways that could actually add dimensions and therefore value to your life in ways that are really not conceivable. You can't think your way to what the outcome of this will be and then try to get there, because the irony is you're already here.
What is the audio track? This
You're here
is,
in this room, you came, but you're always here.
I'll drop
There is no
the
there.
URL in the comments.
Yes,
second.
we can formulate goals. That's one of the most amazing things about thought and imagination, is we can project out into the future and we can develop models for how we're going to go from here to there. But if we don't know here, then the there is going to be colored by what we, in some sense, are unfamiliar with and unwilling to look at. Tacit assumptions, for instance, have sunk many, many boats in the world of science and engineering. Just tacit assumptions that we haven't really paid attention to because, for whatever, usually emotional reasons, we don't do emotions. So, you know what I'm saying? So to be able to sort
Pretty
of, for
close
one,
to what I wanted anyway.
period of time here today as a laboratory, whether you've been meditating
And
for
there's another
years
one
and you
over
just
here
want to see
I'm
one
gonna
more, person coming through Google talking about mindfulness, or whether this is totally new to you and somehow you don't even know why you're here, but you're here. It's what Suzuki Roshi used to call
So
beginner's
this
mind.
audio is going to
You
get
know,
into
the
an
beginner's
actual
mind is not
meditation
something
exercise.
That
I don't know if I
we
should
have
just leave
at
it
the
on.
beginning. The whole point is to cultivate beginner's mind moment by moment. Or what's one Korean Zen master that I studied with named Sung San, who
I might as well, huh?
is talked in this fantastic English that because he never bothered to learn English grammar, syntax, or words for that matter, so he could communicate to Americans in ways that would just he just called it "don't know mind."
That's so great.
I need to talk about latest. Who am I? You know, it's like, who am I? That's a fundamental meditative question. Who am I, or what am I? And then
Although once I put it into words, I'm interpreting what he's saying.
Robes and bald head and gnarled Zen stick that he used to beat his students with metaphorically. And he'd say, who am I? And he'd say, don't know. And, you know, keeping that not knowing is like the best way to interface between the known and the unknown at the kind of edge of creativity and science, or for that matter in family life. You think you know who your children are? Forget it. You'll never know who your children are. You think you know who you're sleeping with? Forget it. You'll never. Or at least you'll have to get out of your own way an awful lot to not just see the projections onto that person of your own mind. And then, you know, it's like, it does, in some sense, denature relationships, even if
so let's see if these actually go together at all.
You know, but if it's all about me, it may actually turn toxic over these. And then you wonder, like, you know, my wife left me. What happened? I don't know. She just left one day. Oh, I see. That was the first symptom? Yeah, it might have been if you're in unawareness, like you don't pay any attention, you know, to like the signs and symptoms, and all of a sudden, like, whammo, you're hit with a heart attack. But it's very unlikely that that was the first symptom. Sometimes with sudden cardiac death, actually, first symptom is your last. But usually there are all sorts of prodromal warning signs, whether it's relationships or relationship to your own body and health. And if you're not paying attention to them, the body or the world is going to up the ante to try to get you to, like, wake up while you still have a chance, come to your senses. And it's the senses, in the sense, it's the senses that are that are fundamentally the only way we can know the world.
There we go.
And there are many more than 5 senses. And the Buddhists include mind itself as a sense, because, you know, you can see without seeing. If your mind is not tuned in, you can see all sorts of things and not see them. You can hear all sorts of things and not hear.
What's going on?
I mean, have you ever had anybody that loves you a lot say, well, you never listen to me? Of course, because, you know, we're just listening to ourselves, the story of me, and where I'm going, and how great it is, or how depressing it is, and how unworthy I am. And it's like me, I. So the heart of this whole thing is to begin to examine, who am I? Because you're not what you think. And someone once gave me a T-shirt that said, meditation, it's not what you think. And it's true.
This isn't great.
So,
I don't think these are all that compatible. I'm just thinking, I'm not really sure what I would do here to make this work.
One thing in medicine that's really important that we train the medical students in a lot now, but it's amazing how you have to even train people in this because it's not so commonsensical. Don't put a desk between you and the patient. Don't sit back as the big authority and say, well, let me help you. Move in. Cultivate a certain kind of appropriate distance. Not instant intimacy, but at the same time, something even deeper than intimacy,
Omar,
which
you're
is
too kind.
what I would call recognition. Oh,
As
a
always.
human being has walked in, usually in pain of one kind or another, frightened, doesn't know what they have. Just fixing them is not adequate in medicine. And so medicine is, as Meng was implying, is changing tremendously. And I'll just say, as part of my little, I don't know, an advertisement for some of the dimensions in which we work, because it's much bigger than healthcare and medicine, but I started out doing this in medicine in terms of bringing mindfulness into the mainstream of institutions. Medicine and meditation sound a lot alike, don't they? They come from the same root meaning. So there's something about being human that we have been ignoring, and I would say up to now, at our peril. And if we can bring being and doing together, the doing is going to be much more magnificent, and at the same time, perhaps much more balanced. Much
I did
less
mention
smoke and heat, and much more light and clarity and breakthrough. And at the same time, we can do that in a way that's not dualistic, like at the expense of our lives or of our relationships or our children, or for that matter, our health and our body, or other aspects of our mind that we feel like, or interests that we never have time for because we're so addicted to getting things done. All right, so how many of you are old-time meditators, whatever that means to you? Raise your hands. How many of you brand new to it? This is like the first time you've come to anything having to do with meditation, and you'd rather be wearing a mask or something. Guys, it's okay, wonderful. And then everybody in between. I tell you, how many of you used to have a meditation? None of you are old enough, maybe, or very few of you are old enough, I can see, to used to have a meditation in the 60s or whatever, and then fell off the wagon and wish you could get back, but every time you try, it's too hard and you don't. Anybody like that? Yeah, welcome. Okay. So let's start from first principles, okay? Talk about beginner's mind. Let's just start from the beginning. We only have moments in which to live. The future is a concept, very useful concept. I'm not putting it down. The past memory is also a concept, but the only time in which our lives are unfolding is now. And now has some very, very interesting properties that if we learn to inhabit now more with awareness, it's almost as if the universe becomes your teacher, because there's no boundary to this. There's no boundary to awareness. You can't put your finger on where your awareness stops. If you want to go and right now have lunch with somebody in a restaurant in LA, even if the restaurant's not open, you can open the restaurant, have dinner, lunch, dinner, whatever with that person right now, because imagination, no problem. You can have a Google mind and just like hold the whole world and everything that's being searched for right in this moment in Google. And you can go meditate on the, whatever that selective span of Google searches is that's going on in the main lobby. Yeah, and it's only some fraction of what's really going on. I mean, even in your own mind, if you start to pay attention to anything in your mind, it's only some small fraction of the universe of things that's going on in your mind. And yet if I asked you to show me your mind, where would you point? You point to the head? Sorry, mind and brain may not be the same thing. The brain, we can point to the mind, a little more interesting. That's why Zen masters will often say, show me your mind. And they'll wait to see what you do. It's a little bit like taking a number on one of those old-fashioned adding machines and dividing it by zero. And it used to go ka-chunk, 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 and nothing ever happens. And that's like, can be a very powerful way of waking people up to these other dimensions. Okay, so what we know, we have a body, relatively speaking, and we're here now. So let's see if we can tune into now for no other reason than just for fun, okay? Just not to get anywhere, to be more relaxed, to become a great meditator, to break through, some problems that you're having, whatever it is, but to just see if you can hold this moment in awareness. You don't even have to shift your posture. You just hold this moment in awareness. Now, there's a lot going on because, as I said, even if we limit it to 5 senses, if your eyes are open, there's seeing. Your ears you can't close, so there's hearing. Okay? The nose you can't close, so there's some kind of sensing going on through the nose, some aroma of rug and wall, and there's whatever the sensations are in the mouth. And there's the contact of the back with the back of the chair and your butt with the chair, and if you're on the floor,
tell them if I was online.
So there's what's called proprioception. Let's see, and there's of course one aspect of proprioception which is, interestingly enough, without any effort on our part, thank God, because otherwise
I just
we
don't know
would
what
have died long ago.
I'm not really sure what to do with this
forgetting,
thing.
Getting distracted.
He wanted me to play with it, but
If breathing depended on the conscious mind,
it's kind of
as
cool
I
on
said,
its
we'd all be
own.
dead already.
Maybe I just work on. Maybe I just.
I got busy. Forgot. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to breathe. Luckily, the sort of the nervous system, the design of the nervous system is much too clever to leave that to conscious control. Yeah, you can fiddle with it a bit, but what's being suggested is see if we can just drop in on the sensations of breathing without fiddling with the breathing at all. It knows how to do it really well, much better than you. So seeing if you can just feel yourself
Let me
breathing.
just try and rebuild this maybe real quick.
without intentionally drawing in an in-breath or an
Is it
out-breath.
worth it?
If it helps, and of course the breath is in some sense constrained or formed by how we're sitting. So if you're sitting like this, it contracts the chest. And so there may be a natural tendency to sit with a spine that's elevated and erect in a position that embodies dignity, just so that you can meet this moment in its fullness with alertness. Whatever that means to you. It could be lying down, doesn't have to be sitting, it could be hanging from your toes from the ceiling. And let's see if we can feel the breath, not think about the breath, but just feel the breath moving in and out of the body. As if we were, in some sense, approaching a shy animal sunning itself on a tree stump in the clearing in the forest. It's like we want to approach gently and just drop in and ride the waves of the breath in the body, maybe down in your belly, where there's all sorts of stuff going on the in-breath and the out-breath. You're not breathing deeply, you're not pushing, you're not pulling. And if you like to concentrate more, focus on the abdomen or wherever the sensations are most vivid, I invite you to close your eyes if you care to. It's not at all necessary. And just ride, surf on the feeling, the sensations of the breath moving in and out of your body, moment by moment by moment. And let everything else going on in the mind, in the room, sounds, everything, just be in the wings. You're not suppressing anything, you're just featuring the breath, center stage in the field of awareness. As if your life depended on it, of course, which it really does. In more ways than one, in more ways than you can even think.
I think I'm going to change the video to something that isn't quite so intimate. Sorry if I'm fucking up someone's meditation moment. Oh, cool. Bunch of Googlers meditating. What are they called? There's like a pinwheel head or something? Pinhead? Oh, look how sturdy he looks. Just like a fucking rock. He's probably just emanating waves that like two people in the room can pick up on. He's cool. He was one of the OGs bringing stuff over to the US. Especially for, I already said this kind of, but for especially from a medical point of view and applying it to people who need it physically. Alright, so maybe I just do like, hold on, I'm just gonna do music for a minute and see how that goes. What song is this?
It's okay.
No. I've been into this track. So what's going on here is that the client asked me to work on this. They were just like, hey, can you send this? Which is this arrangement, this quadrilateral arrangement of checkerboard. Well, before it was just circles, I think, and they asked me to add checkerboard, and then it's got like the rainbows inside. And I don't exactly know what to do with it, but I do want to try because it's obviously weird and cool. So right now I'm just trying to rebuild it, and then I'm going to do the colors, and I'm just going to try and do it without using the silhouette of a head, because it doesn't have to be quite so overkill, maybe? I don't know. This looks a little butterfly-ish, which is neat, just because it's supposed to be academic or educational, maybe. How am I going to do... that, but that's pretty rad. Save that one. How did I even... I must be, interesting. I'm just doing this the lazy way to realign it, sorry. Pretty cool. I don't know if we want each one, we probably want each one to look like its own movement independently. So I've got the shape all wrong. I just don't know if I care. Like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna do like a gradient mesh and try and actually map out this cone shape? I don't think so. Maybe. Let's see. Is this even worth? Is this mark even hitting anything worth? Does it feel like a real thing if I put it next to the words? Because this is like for high schoolers, mostly, at least to start. So it's supposed to be weird, it's supposed to be internet-y, but also not trying too hard. Of course. No problem, right? Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I'm trying to, I don't know what I want to do to it. It's also supposed to look to some degree like it could be the new, I'm sorry, Macmillan or Hartford, or I forget the names of all the big academic publishers. But if it, if it structures itself like a platform that has educational, user-generated content, there's a lot of things that actually works and is generated by cool, interesting, funny, probably high schooler if it's got like a voting mechanism. You can imagine this actually doing well, and being, eventually the worst case scenario gets printed out. Not that I need to keep it to solid colors or anything, but I do sort of want to infer that it almost has like an industrial potential, while still being native to the interests of how people process information on the web or digitally. I guess maybe doing, I don't know what I'm going for here. I don't like how this has, Eric, he asked for the checkerboard to go back in. I had the checkerboard from some other ideas, and he asked me to include it with the cones. So that doesn't... I mean, maybe I should get rid of them and just see what happens. But I hear you. One of the things I'm trying to learn or figure out is how to be more opinionated without shutting down feedback. It's hard to guide logo processes with trusting the client to guide it for you. Like, if you have a deadline but you don't get to make decisions, how does that work? You know, like if you getting your work done depends on someone else giving you the green light, but they are slow or difficult to get a green light from, then, well, shit. So in the case of like these tight deadline things that I've been doing, I need to learn. I just had this come up yesterday, which is why it's on my mind. But basically it's like, I need to be more forceful and say, hey, this is the option that you should be going for. And even if you don't agree, I need to deliver for you within the time frame that we've set. So I'm just going to start working on it in more detail. But you know, but if it's not what they want, then what's the point? It's hard. Not quite sure where that's going to net out long term. Yeah, it's checkers. It's also white noise. A little bit. Checkers feels, when you say checkers, it feels much more vintage, and not in a good way. This, of course, is. There would have to be a lot more raise for this to be for this to look like an explosion. I'm just gonna see what happens if I try and stretch this awkwardly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yikes. That's gnarly. I don't think I can... Yeah, that might work actually. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it wasn't the same shape after all. Well, I don't know. I can just, kind of a long way around to a basic shape, but that's how it goes. Wow, that was a really messed up original file too, apparently. Wonder how. I must have messed something up. So this looks more like an explosion. But of course it's got none of the character that we were going for. That was creepy. There's an... Try something here. Oops, didn't mean to decapitate him. that wasn't the direction I wanted. So now I'm gonna try and, I mean, this is kind of cool. I need to figure out a better way for the rays to work. I'm gonna try and do flat color just along, like, one color per ray, just because there's enough of them here to get a spectrum. And then I'm also just going to try some more basic stuff, like that. Huh. Flower, yeah. Flower's cool, right? What's up, Anthony? Yeah, hard to hate PBS vibes. This is, like, the star shape is cool, but it's also so organic that it's almost confusing. I'm just wondering if maybe I can make this more directly explosive. I might also try and bring those geometries back on top to make it more playful, see how that goes. What's this one called again? This is Galaxy Bank. I think he might wind up buying Galaxy.bank, which would be amazing. In which case I don't have to worry about the .best. I like .best, galaxybank.best, that's a great URL. But galaxy.bank would obviously be pretty rad. Forgot my coffee as usual. Three equal steps to the face. Yeah, 1, 2. Yeah, they're not quite equal, but I hear you. It's kind of masculine, which sucks. But at least it's highly generic while doing so. Like, it doesn't look like it's aggressively masculine. Where do I want to grab this from? Alright, so I'm gonna just, like, I'm not talking much this time. I think partly because I started with those lectures, maybe I'm feeling contemplative. That's nicer. That's almost like a massage on your tongue. Contemplative. But I need to remember to do exposition, I guess. Is that what we call it in this context? Exposition? Explain what I'm thinking, talk it through, be verbal. It doesn't come naturally to me, except sort of in the context of a stream. And with clients, I do okay talking clients through whatever we seem to be up to. Which is part of why I've been led down this path of collaborative work sessions with pre-brand stuff. I didn't mean for that to be masked within the explosion shape, but that's pretty cool. That was a high glucose alert from my daughter. and her blood monitor for type 1 diabetes. For what that's worth, if you're curious what that alarm that just shrieked at you was, or is at some point, I just muted it, so we should be okay. Sorry about that. This is cool. I can reduce this down more too. I wanted to also do you know what? I'm gonna tweet this. I want to do better about marketing myself. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, I did one with Mirror, which is a client who was extremely cool, and the extent of my marketing for it was I tweeted once, like at lunch, and then when it was going, I just did like a 2-word, like it me type thing. It was really dumb. It's kind of embarrassing. So I just need to start practicing this more. And this guy's cool, so this will be a slight flex to try and get people. It's funny, I'm using the best work that I've gotten through as though it's normal for this conversation. But that's how it goes, right? This is super cool. That was 45 minutes ago, so David was probably listening to McKenna. That's cool. That was chill. I should do that again. I just needed a break, and maybe I'll bring it up again. How long have I been going? An hour. Cool. Vancouver is wet as fuck. Vancouver, like it's raining a bunch. All Bombs. I like your name. All Bombs. That makes me think of All Bombs. That makes me think of both OnlyFans. It's like only versus all is an opposite, and then fans versus bombs is an opposite. And then the other thing it makes me think of is Solid Gold Bomb, which is a comic collection of Scud the Disposable Assassin. And Solid Gold Bomb, I think, was the last of a trilogy, and it was so good, really formative for me. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Solid Gold Bomb. Just like the thing about Scud too was it was written by Dan Harmon and Rob Schrab, who both went on to do cool stuff. Obviously, Dan Harmon especially, of course. But the other thing about Scud was that it was written so well. Shit, what was the Scud thing I wanted to look up? Oh, Solid Gold Bomb. It was written so well that I think it was partly responsible for me being interested in naming stuff. Like, it really got me interested in, because the main villain, or like almost like the MacGuffin of the Scud series is this character that is sort of like a Frankenstein type thing that can only speak in quotes. Like pop culture quotes. And I've seen it. It's a trope kind of at this point, but I had never seen it before. And what was really cool was not only was it speaking in quotes, but at the back of the comic, there was like an index or a reference or footnotes for where the quotes came from. And it was just like collaging with words in a way that I loved. And then of course, like Solid Gold Bomb is just such a great combination of words. It's just like, it just hit me so strong. Scud was a great name. I love the name Scud. I used to redraw this stuff. Someone's saying, yeah, Only Bombs, nice. Splitters Club, yeah. Eric, are you still doing Exploders Club? Do you still want those files? Did I ever send that to you? Oh, I can become famous if I buy followers. That's cool. I love Scud. Yeah. Dave, you and I need to meet. Iron Davey. I feel like I have your name wrong. This is the kind of thing I would blank out on at the moment. Never heard of Scud. Never heard of Scud. Yeah. Scud's... I don't know, it kept going. Like, they did like a couple sub stories, like Drywall, who I there was two other assassins in the book that were goofy characters, Oswald and Drywall, who I used for my early Yehare names, or Yehare forum names. Actually, if anyone knows the name Chris Papsadero, if that sounds familiar to anyone, he started to use Scud, I think Scud was one of his Yehare acronyms, or pseudonyms, by way of my turning them onto the comic, which is funny in retrospect. I say things are funny a lot. I also say things are funny a lot. This music is too intense. What's going on? Oh. Yeah. I won't explain that. Alright, let me see if this is actually even matching with the name at all. I was hoping to do like some new collage type typography with this. I'm sorry, not collage. Grunge. I was hoping to do some new grunge type font treatment, and by new grunge, I guess what I mean is like, I would say that what people naturally do to type in memes to add their own words on top of what other people have done is like fairly grunge. It's just being really irreverent with type. And so you saw me earlier. Maybe I was mixing like Georgia with Times New Roman and Arial. I'm gonna do more of that, but I wanted to. Actually, I had it from an earlier revision. I wonder if I can pull that back up. It wasn't terribly overt, but like using a bold next to a regular within the same word even, I guess, is maybe what I mean. Because oftentimes, like a single word will be replaced out of a meme with something else. Like it just gets like scratched out, and sometimes you'll see the edges of it. Galaxy Bank is supposed to sound like Galaxy Brain. It's an educational meme thing, so it's a reference on purpose. Where? This is the original name, Noodle Bank. Then it was Galaxy University. I thought I had some type that was more... Oh, I guess this is it. I think I have something somewhere else, but this will do. We should try and get some, like... Papyrus. Or I was already doing Impact. Papyrus would be funny. Alright, so what I wanted to try was just a different type style here. So I guess this is as good as any. It's kind of cool. I mean, I like in as much as they're both squat and like condensed, it seems to match maybe a little better than the long horizontal. Or at least it's nice to see it with something else. Where did all my little orbit guys go? Let's bring these back. These were cool. And then really, I need to just like wrap this up in this, not because I'm pressed for time, but because I've been working on this mark more than is probably appropriate. And so probably the right next step is to not work on the type or the logo anymore, but it would be to extend this into a Twitter profile real quick. Not real quick, but as a next step. That's cool. What are we listening to? Mount Kimby, right? Nice. What's this one? Oh, you know what I'm gonna put on? This is a Michael Jackson song. This is a Michael Jackson song from that I'd never heard before. I guess it's from his like post. It's not postmortem. The word I'm looking for. The release album after his death, and this is from it. And it came up in my radio or whatever on Spotify, and I'm really into it. And I've had it on repeat. And now we're gonna listen to it. So yay! It's Josh. What's up, Josh? Cool. And then it's it's on random after that. What is this? Oh, okay. Sorry, I was looking for a block that wasn't there. My Jeep began to rock. I didn't know what to do, so I stopped and got out and looked down. I noticed I got a flat, so I rolled out, parked the car like sideways, so I can find what I can fix. I looked around, there were no cars on the highway. I felt a strange feeling like a mist. Rounded corner, blocked type. Trying to go for the Instagram vibe a little bit. I mean, you can't skew an Instagram. So maybe we don't. And I can skew something else. That got way too clean somehow. There needs to be some sort of like detritus or noise here that looks like something got cut out. Like it used to be Galaxy University maybe, and now it's Galaxy Bank. Or it used to be Galaxy Brain and now it's Galaxy Bank. It just needs to, it's just too clean still. And it's hard to fake good noise. Kids are playing and people are laughing and smiling and loving fear. She said, "Is the place with no people pain with love and happiness?" She turned around, looked down in my eyes and started crying. Come again, you've got a friend. I wonder if this makes any sense. Something like that, right? And then maybe when I export it, we could artifact it. Okay, I said I was gonna stop working on type and logos, so I'm gonna do that. The thing is, the stream feels a little forced, but also I just really want to get this thing done, and that's my goal here. And so I just gotta power through this, even though I really just want to keep messing with the mark. That's literally something I could just do. I could just keep doing it. So I'm going to... I don't know why I keep redrawing the Twitter profile. This is probably my 5th in the last 2 weeks. But whatever. This isn't even accurate anymore, it's way smaller in ratio to the avatar. What does it look like these days? Yeah, it's a little guy. Okay, so if this is... If this was his avatar... Maybe we zoom in or something, and then maybe the type could be used for the background. I don't usually get to just cut the logo up for a social profile, but maybe it'll work this time. I mean, it's a little like, how do you do, fellow kids? But then again, anything you're doing for high schoolers that isn't from a high schooler, I mean, good lord, it's about as hard as it gets, so at least it looks like a thing. This looks like graffiti splashed across the wall, except it's definitely not that in the slightest, so that's weird and cool. I wonder if... Why didn't Jonathan ever sign on, I wonder? He was supposed to get on here and maybe trash talk from the sidelines and give me direction. I want to see what happens if we cut in for an avatar. Cool. I'm into it. I might just collect all this and send it over, you know? I made a call for requests if anyone wanted me to do anything, and nothing came in. So I think I might just call this, because it's a little bit of a mission accomplished. I feel like this is kind of good enough. And I'm going to be sending him a couple versions. Like, I've still got this one. That looks too much like the eye now that I look at it again. But I've got this one too, and I've got this type. And then I think he had just told me I can get rid of this URL, which is great, so now we just got galaxy.bank. I mean, impact is ridiculous. But... is stretched impact less or more ridiculous? Because that's a little bit cool, right? There's a thing I used to do all the time. Hold on, I gotta try this. Where you just use the circular logo as the dot in the URL. Why do I like this type as much as I do? I apologize to anyone's eyes who are bleeding. Yeah, you know, like, maybe I could just call this. I got this one. I got here. Let me actually just create. Oh, that's what we'll do. I'm gonna make a PDF. Oops. To put the finals in. And then that will be a great way to actually wrap this up. And it's something I wanted to start getting good at within meetings or calls or whatever. This isn't how I would normally arrange this, but that's okay. What's this? Let's go with this. I mean, really, his Twitter header should just be a good meme, and like maybe one that he steals from someone, if he really wants to be pure about it, or one of their own, one of his own. I mean, I still kind of like this, but it's definitely still trying pretty hard. And it would be nice if I could get out of my own head a little bit and not just use my own work when I'm giving him ideas here. Why is this so dumb? What is going on? Okay. Drop Galaxy Brain cheap stock into this brand. Galaxy Brain cheap stock. Are you doing more of these sessions? Is this the starter logo pack thing? Are you doing more of these sessions? Yeah, I'm doing more. Well, there's like two things happening. One is that I'm just streaming something that I need to be working on. It happens to be an identity for someone. And then I'm also doing pre-brands, which are maybe what you mean by starter logo pack things. Now that I say that out loud, it seems pretty clear that that's what you mean. That is what this is. It's just that this one was a little bit weird, and I'm doing it asynchronously with the guy. This is kind of a holdover from the last bit of work that I am still finishing up from last season, quote unquote. What's a good? I can't. What's a good meme? What is dumb? What a boomer question? Columbus Day meme. Sounds like something they might have. Here we go. I like this one. So yeah, I'm still offering, or like I still have some of the logo things that I'm doing, and so yeah, I'll be doing more. I'll be doing more of my own streaming deals. I still need to set like a permanent time. I think Wednesday at 2. I'm thinking like different days at 2 is sort of my deal. I'm just still figuring it out. And I'm also trying to get clients to start doing it too, while we're doing collaborative actual pre-brand sessions. I kind of just had one go on the other night, and it seems like clients are starting to get kind of into it, but we'll see. Yeah, so this isn't like gonna win any awards, but this is what I meant by just putting a putting a meme in the background casually. I'm already overthinking this too much, probably. But one nice thing about what we're looking at is that it does set, unintentionally here, I'm getting to look at this mark within the context that it would be shown, kind of. It's like Galaxy Brain reference logo in the context of a educational meme, quote-unquote educational meme, and they go together. Like, the reference seems pretty clear without being stupid about it or shitty about it, so that's cool. Bonus. What's up, KCO? KCO. I wonder if your name is KCO. That'd be cool. So what I'm doing now is just isolating these things into a few different pages that I'm ultimately putting into a PDF, so that I can send this all to the guy and say, here is the evidence of completion. Thank you for your business. And we're getting pretty close here. This wound up being more chaotic than compelling. Maybe I just need to get rid of the stuff, the satellites on this one for now, or forever. I never really gave the color all that much attention. I mean, I did, but obviously you could... I hate it when I say obviously. It seems clear to me that the color could use more consideration. It's not bad per se, but it's not also not really saying anything that's especially clear. I guess it feels like noise, which is, I mean, it feels relatively noisy, which is on point, I guess. We're not really looking for noise as much as we're looking for high intensity transmission of energy and knowledge, I guess. I'm trying to work with tans more than ever for some reason. Recolor artwork tool is your new best pal. That little color wheel in the top chrome. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna try it. I will give it a try. Let's see what happens. I don't know what to do. Double click to edit color. So Anthony, I'm sure there's a more elegant way to do this. Cool. Cool. What? 3-color job and color harm. Oh, maybe because I did harmony from the 3-color, so it was already harmonized. That's weird. Why isn't Harmony doing anything, I wonder? It's too bad. Flip over to the color wheel with that edit tabs across the top. Huh. Cool. I need to build this a little better. As you can see, I have like these fragments over here that are screwing up this exercise. I actually really like just what just happened. It kind of got into like, maybe it's because the face went violet, but this just got softer and more. It got more identity. Like it just started to say something. I think it's because of that like salmon and the burgundy with the brown and like the mustard. and the purple. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. I did something, or something had... Anthony's suggestion got me somewhere. Thank you, homeboy. Where was the face? There's the face. That's cool. Yeah, this is really neat. Thank you. I have never done this. And you mentioned that I needed to learn this. So I appreciate it. I wonder why the white diamonds, I don't see white in here anywhere as an option that I can drag. I must have them deselected somehow. I need to stop futzing with this, I think. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna run with this. The eyes are very dead to me in a way that I'm not all that happy about. When I had added detail to the eyes before, but the client didn't like it. But I'm still... I mean, I like how it's really simple geometry. Like, there's not that many shapes happening in this mark, and it has pretty high impact. So I'm kind of proud of that in that sense. I don't want to make it more human or explicit just because I'm getting a... Like, it just feels like the diamonds are just too heavy, I think, compared to the rest. It just feels like a little bit too much white comparatively, and it's tripping me up. I don't think... I don't necessarily hate this. But I don't think it's quite as resolved as having it not at all. I don't think making him smaller is gonna do it. He just looks more zombie-like. Alright, I'm just gonna not worry about it. And then I think the colors are okay now. They could still use more work, but like I've said, I really just need to stop acting like this is the only part of my job. I think part of what I'm reacting to too is that I had a experience yesterday with a client where it would just we just never really got to a resolution within the time frame that we had, and I'm trying to learn how to be more direct in that stuff, and it's hard because I like to listen and I like to pay attention to what the client is asking for, and it doesn't come naturally to me to be forceful when I have an opinion. I can definitely talk through it, and it's also just a matter of, like, we don't get to choose, and so I don't know. Anyway, I'm doing it again where I'm distracting myself with the work that I'm comfortable doing for the sake of not having to force the client into a decision or a commitment. The client's not here, but I am working on behalf of them. I'm working on behalf of the work, really. The work itself is mostly what I'm interested in, which is another problem. Quote-unquote problem. And I'm still doing it. I'm just trying to reduce the number of shapes here at the last minute. I mean, I think there's just like all this interlocking stuff and negative space between strong angles. It's all fine, but if this thing ever has to get reduced, or even just the eye has to process all of this stuff, ideally it's doing less work. because it just transmits faster, and I don't know, it's just more elegant probably. And so I'm having a hard time not seeing if I can make some last minute adjustments before I say it's shipped. I think also maybe part of what I'm dealing with is that I know that me arranging a PDF is slightly less interesting than me working on a logo, so maybe I'm insecure about doing that. Sorry to maybe get a little too meta. This looks like a turban a bit, or like a head towel, like a fortune teller. I almost want to put like a playing card on the forehead. It's missing a third eye for sure. I think I've been here before, which is part of why I didn't have them touching earlier. If I made it cross-eyed, it might be kind of funny. I don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna go with this. It's funny that it becomes both cross-eyed and a giant square. Like it's like Cyclops single eye split into two. I don't know. I guess it's nice that I can be so entertained by my own stuff, huh? Jeez. Just like sunglasses. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't been saving most of these either. It's kind of too bad. I mean, this is almost just like, this is just pure cartoon or illustration, which might be okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing this. I promise. I'm going to use the old geometry eyes. Those were cool. I wanted the new colors on the old mark. I'm going to do that, but I can't. I just tried to do it in a way that was going to take more time than what I'm about to do, even though it's going to look corny. Sounds like Tron, but not Tron. These look cool in a pattern. As usual, everything looks cool when you repeat it over and over again. Alright, I'm gonna put the two icons up front. And then I'm gonna put the two type treatments right behind that. Skip that one. I should put these on black, and then I should put them on like totes and tote bags and water bottles and that kind of stuff, but this just isn't that kind of arrangement, I don't think, so I'm not going to. Sweet. Hold on, let me get rid of... Ooh, that's kind of cool. Got some nice chakra, third eye, bubble alignment thing going. I'm just gonna save that guy for later. Future avatar, maybe. That's John Kabat-Zinn's new logo. I had a friend recently telling me about how they had a Zoom meeting with a friend who did Reiki. I don't really know what Reiki is. I know it's, of the same vein of like tarot or crystals or chakra, and I just don't know what the specifics are of Reiki. But anyway, she had part of it was getting the chakra reading. And this was with a woman who was across the country. It was a Zoom meeting. Turn this down. It was a Zoom meeting with this woman, and she read her chakras and told her which ones were doing well and which ones were blocked. And apparently it was just because each chakra is related to a different part of your experience, as far as I understand it. You're emotional, you're primitive, you're enlightened, you're intellectual, that kind of thing. And so she was able to identify which parts were repressed and which parts were doing well, and etc. It sounds amazing. It's hard to believe anyway, let alone them doing it remotely across country. Seriously? But I guess if once you've accepted that there's the possibility for that kind of thing to be true anyway, then you kind of have to accept the existence of different dimension, and distance across dimension. Distance in different dimension is going to be a different thing entirely. So it's if an energy field exists that people can see and carry throughout their lives that most of us aren't aware of, then it seems equally plausible that that same energy field can be seen in a way that, or experienced in a way that we can't identify either. So that's how I resolve it in my mind, I guess. But still, yeah, man, I gotta get my chakras read. Very curious. I want to see how my third eye's doing. Third eye, I don't even know. I think third eye actually might be the equivalent. It might have a chakra equivalent. I think they might be synonymous, but I also think I might be wrong about that. So I'm gonna grab a pre-existing. I'll do mirror because you guys have already seen mirror, and so this won't be embarrassing. This stuff was all cool. I don't think they're gonna go for any of it. I'll actually show you real quick, since there's very few people watching. And since Mirror is already building in public, I don't think any of this is going to get used. But I thought it was kind of cool. So one of the conclusions of the last round with Mirror was that we were into. I've had to be kind of talked into it, but I'm coming around to this notion of using the Mirror silhouette as the logo. And part of why I'm becoming into it is that it can be skinned or themed or treated with dimensionality or reflective textures or rough texture, who knows, put it into Unity or Blender or something and fuck around. So I wanted to play around with that, where it's because part of the product is identity. It's identity based to some degree, and I wanted to see what would happen if users started using silhouettes as avatars, masks for their avatars. And then also maybe have things like themes that users could choose from to begin with. They kind of look like tokens, which is neat. Like a block explorer makes sense in the sense of all of these users or profiles will eventually be on the same network that are related to each other, and you can explore them. Anyway, kind of cool, right? I think I've opened this though because I was pulling my presentation template. Galaxy, oops, rebrand, Galaxy Bank. What is today? 23rd. It's funny, I don't actually know if I should use my, I have this logo that I've been using for a while for Internetland, which is technically how I get paid. It's like my studio. And I kind of just use it for all of my internal papers, and I've started I think I fluctuate between using it for pre-brand and not. It's hard not to have it on these things because it feels like such a stamp of, I don't know, I guess it's my stamp of like my craftsman stamp or something, my crest or what have you, but also it just kind of makes the whole thing feel a little better. Like it's not unusual to have a client ask about it in the sense of can we do something like that one, so it sets me up well, but it's kind of weird to have it on pre-brand. I'm hesitant to do an actual icon for pre-brand, but eventually I'll probably try and figure something out. Boy, I might just leave it at this. This is really basic as far as PDF presentations go, but I'm so overboard in terms of what I've put on this one that... Should I leave the stuff in this one? I guess. He's probably not going to use this anyway. And at least he'll have the option. I'll do the SVG for it. I mean, this type is funny, but it also sucks. Maybe I should fix this up. I don't mind using impact necessarily, but this doesn't look enough like a dot for one, for it to be a URL. I don't know, man. This might be better. I think I'm actually squishing impact at this point. I'm compressing impact. Yeah, I am. Yes. Check that off my bucket list. This one's a little too hard to read. This fade could be a little more noticeable so that it's more clear what's going on. Yeah. I'm gonna have to rebuild that for the actual exported file, but whatever. That's brainless. Okay. And then I need to say thank you, because that's how I roll with all of these things. Yeah. Cool. And then I need to delete all these artboards. And this might be the smallest PDF I've exported in an extremely long time. Wait, that's not true. My pre-brand round was like 7 pages, but that was after condensing a whole ton of them, so that's different. This is really small. This is definitely my smallest client presentation in a long time. It's cool though. Alright, I am slowing way down. I'm finishing up this project. I'm going to say thank you for watching. Because no one wound up saying anything anyway about wanting me to do anything else. And it's a Friday night, so maybe I should pretend like I have something better to do. Plus, I accomplished my goal, and I should treat that seriously by actually ending things so that I don't just fade in and out of something else. Did it work? Oh no, I just did the Illustrator file. Oops. So, I already said thank you. I'm stalling as I look this up. For the final reveal of a functioning PDF pre-brand Galaxy Bank, Ben Perrott, 10/23. That is the right date. Is that not centered? I think it's not centered. Okay. The next page probably isn't centered either. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's hard to tell that this is a social profile. I'm going to add a couple rectangles real quick. Do I ever show clients the full working file? Yeah, definitely. I often will give them everything, like the whole. Like usually a file looks like this or more. And so I'll often just give them this, especially with pre-brand stuff where we don't even necessarily get to a final as much as I just give them a bunch of options to start picking from. They'll oftentimes have their own designer that can like pick stuff out. And then so yeah, I'll give them this, and then also I will, I'm often, especially lately, just building it with them on the call, on a screen share, so they'll see this. They'll just watch me doing this in the same way that you are, except they'll also be controlling me around, like, hey, I'd like to see more of this over there. Yeah, so yeah, they versus the final PDF, yeah, they see both. Which one's my favorite one? If Galaxy Bank had been mine, which is often how I try to think about it, I would definitely sink more time into this. I mean, I think if I kept working at this one, probably what would happen is that it would Voltron or join forces with this one. I think these would probably be become the same thing with more time. Because they're practically the same thing already. So I guess that's my answer. Wow, usually reflecting things it looks like junk, but this one actually worked out okay. I guess my geometry wasn't too bad. This hexagon and circle should speak to each other more clearly. They're on opposite sides. But now they're not floating. Something more like that. Whatever. Yeah, so what was your favorite, if you had one? Doesn't even have to be of these finals. If there was something that you saw before, I'd be curious to hear what you would have guided me towards if you had been the client. This stuff definitely becomes somewhat subjective there, especially towards the end. And then I need to center everything. That was the other screw up. And I also wanted to make this look slightly more like an actual Twitter profile, which I will do by, I don't know what you call this. This like fake type, this pseudo type thing. I think Facebook kind of started doing it on preloading screens in a pretty cool way years ago. I mean, it's just wireframe mockup vibes, but It works. Okay. Now, love the second slide. You're on the money and your inclination, I think. Yeah, cool. Yeah, this could have been really cool. I mean, it is cool. I like it. I just have to stop. But it could have been. I think it could have. It could have kept going though, for sure. To be honest, I'll probably wind up coming back around to it. With what often winds up happening is that the client winds up using a different version or another concept that isn't the one that I preferred. In which case, I'm able to pull it back. I don't do that as often as I'd like, but for instance, I'll be able to sell this if I ever get the pre-brand store up and the client doesn't wind up liking it. I like a masked. I wonder if I should just do a masked. It's hard to say. Nah, the floating's cool too. I should do some. What I should do is I should have some masked and some not masked. That would be the most trippy. And the reason this isn't working is because it's on difference. There. Skeleton text. True. Yeah, so this could, I think the masking thing, if I had kept at it, it would have, that's just another thing that that could have continued to be explored that I'm not going to. Just backtrack a whole bunch. Finish what I was doing with the centering. And hit save, and then resave this as an Illustrator file. I don't know if any of you have ever saved over your Illustrator file with a PDF and then not been able to edit it in a native way, but that's gotta be one of the most frustrating things to have happen. And I have done it numerous times. Alright, final check. Centered. Cool. I'm gonna call it. That's it. Thank you again. 10 minutes later, I'm shutting this down. I got this Rick and Morty sweater today when I went birthday shopping for Ruby. It feels extremely right to me. Oh, I have this image up here again with Postmirror. How funny, I have to remember to take that stuff down. That's alright, I don't mind shouting them out the whole time. Alright. Later.